Hi everyone, welcome to Type Talks. Today we have 5 ISFPs and I'll let them introduce themselves. So Sheila, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Hello, my name is Sheila and I'm an ISFP and I live in Minnesota and I have a YouTube channel and I love everything typology.
Same. And so Jamila, would you like to tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jamila, and I am an aspiring singer. And right now I live in Virginia. And also, you might know my husband, Denzel in DC. Just putting that out there.
And so Kurt, would you like to give us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Kurt. I work for a church right now. I feel like one of those people that's still kind of trying to figure out what to do with their life because I just don't really know yet. But I'm very interested in typology as well, obviously. And I don't have any plans per se of, how to use that information, but I just like to understand people. I like to know how they think. I feel like it helps me relate better and understand other people better. So that's what I got.
And Sarah, would you like to tell us a bit about you?
Sure. So yeah, I'm Sarah. I'm a filmmaker. I make a lot of videos on social media, and I got introduced to typology through my partner, Heidi. She knows like a lot about that space. So I kind of like got into it and learned a lot about it and am using it as a tool to understand other people and understand myself better.
Yeah, excellent. And so Julien?
Yeah, I'm Julien. I'm from Canada originally. I'm in New Zealand on a working holiday right now. I do bartending and I have a bunch of hobbies. Got in typology like 3 years ago, maybe four now. No, 3 years ago. I got introduced when I was in India by this couple who were all into MBTI, and I got really interested in it because it just seemed like I could finally understand people, understand myself, because just a time where I was kind of lost, looking for who I was and who these other people were, and that's been a great journey so far. And yeah, I have a YouTube channel I do with another guy from a personality community called our channel's called Personality Type Q&A, and I have a blog that I update once a week. And so yeah.
Nice to know. And so if you guys want to check out any of these wonderful people, they'll all be linked below. My first question for you guys is, what ISFPs do you relate to, either fictional or real life?
So I feel like I related to Nemo from Finding Nemo. Exactly, because he is just so nice and he's just like an explorer at heart, and he just wants to love people and he wants people to love them and love each other. I mean, love him and love each other. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
That's adorable.
Yeah, this question's tough. I don't know if I totally relate. It could be like an FI thing, like, no, I'm my own person. I don't relate.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think like maybe some character like I mean, when I was in high school, people used to say I look like Kurt Cobain, so I'll just go with that. I don't know anything about him, and I don't plan on dying anytime soon, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt is definitely an FI dom. This Kurt, I mean, Kurt Cobain and this Kurt down
Yeah,
here.
no, for sure. Get it.
Yeah, I'll go. Do you guys know if Mulan is a character? Is she an ISFP?
Yes, she is. She's my favorite.
Oh, nice. Yes. That's definitely Mulan because she goes after her heart and what she believes in, and I love that. And yeah, there's like tons of like amazing singers, songwriters that I love. I love Taylor Swift. And I think that she's an awesome ISFP. So yeah, those would be mine, I think.
Yeah. I also think Taylor is an ISFP and Sheila does too.
Oh, okay.
And
Is that like a debate?
it's a debate.
Oh, okay. So I don't know all the debates, but yeah. Okay. Heidi also thinks that she's an ISFP. So that's how I know that.
Yeah. Team ISFP.
Yay.
Yeah, represent.
So someone I relate to a lot, and I mentioned before, is Prince. There's just something about him that I just have always been so drawn into. And I feel like, you know, I can be kind of very quiet until you get to know me. And then I have this really quirky, goofy
Mm-hmm.
side to me. And that's very much Prince. Like if you know him, he's very quiet, but he's this funny guy, like just hilarious and playful and loves pranks and silly and goofy. So I relate to that because I come off more shy, really shy and more subdued when you first meet me. But then when you get to know me, I have this really silly, playful little kid side. And if you know Prince, it's a lot like his goofy side.
That's dope.
I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
relate to that a lot as well.
Excellent. And so Kurt?
You know, I'm not really sure like who exactly is ISFP. But one thought I had was just sort of how I relate to characters in general, that they're kind of like the underdog or kind of, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but like characters in shows and in films that they're maybe not, they're kind of like on the outskirts. They're kind of like rogue, I guess, but they're like secretly powerful. And like they are aware of like the evils going on inside of like the major groups or whatever. And so they kind of are like just on the outside, aware, or like very observant, but kind of like in the background, but showing up when it matters, I guess. So that was a thought that I had.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask each other?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested what people's interests or hobbies are like. Like, is it stereotypically ISFP in a way? Because I feel like a lot of my hobbies are very stereotypically ISFP. But is anyone here like just like heavy into engineering and math or something? I doubt it.
Nah, no. It's always like weird for me whenever I see questions like, oh, like what part of, your personality do you feel like, you don't relate to, or is just the stereotype? And I feel like I relate to everything. So like I really like singing and like dancing and like painting, like all of that type of stuff, cooking and everything, that I feel like it's all very ISFP-ish, fashion, all of that. So yeah, those are a lot of things I'm interested in, acting and writing and stuff like that as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that a lot of the stuff I'm into is probably stereotypical because everything that I do has to do with like, interacting with my senses. So like filming things that I think are beautiful, capturing things, editing. I love to cook. So I like to like interact with the world and the like beautiful things around me. So that's probably very stereotypical. But anytime that I do like anything analytical, I like joke and say that maybe I'm an ISTP, but yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I relate to all the beautiful, fun hobbies. Being outdoor in nature. I love photography, drawing, painting, just working with the hands, and really anything that's like sparks my interest. I'll just go and try it, and if I like it, I like it, and I'll do more. If I don't, I'm like, I tried it and didn't like it, and then move on. It's like I'm open to trying like all kinds of different things. Like anything that sounds fun, I'm like, well, let's try it.
How about you, Kurt?
I feel my hobbies have largely been like video games, I think, since I was young. I don't know if that's typical of ISFPs. I think it's maybe a little bit like more of a draw to NI and like the imagination. Although I guess there's some level of like, you know, hand-eye coordination when you're doing stuff like that. But I do relate to like enjoying nature a lot. And I'd say I enjoy doing things with my hands and my body as well. Like there's something that's sort of just viscerally enjoyable about using your body to create something or yeah, create. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if that's normal for ISFPs. I do sing and write songs as well, not professionally. So that's a hobby, I guess. That's probably, you know, artistic, I guess, maybe typical for ISFPs.
That's great. ISFPs have like a lot of aesthetic like hobbies. Like Jamila sings, and it's really good. You can hear in Jamila's voice, like even when she talks, you can tell that she's a singer because of the smoothness of her voice.
Ew.
Cool. My question for all of you guys is, what do ISFPs bring to the world?
The way that I look about it is like FI and SE, if you want to look at it that way. And FI, to me, what that brings to the world is kind of like this value system. It might not be an FE sort of like group valuing type of thing, but it gets to like the depths of values in a sense. And the SE, I think it comes into like the physical world of things. So, I mean, a lot of ISFPs, it feels like, values the sensory type of things like arts and nature and things like that. And so to me, it's kind of like the bastion of valuing these sensory type of things for humans, like nature, like music, like art forms. And so what they're bringing is that value for those and producing it as well, I think, in a creative way. And it's not like other types can't produce it or do that or anything like that, but I think it's just the archetype, if we're talking about archetypes of ISFPs, are sort of holding the fort for that in a deep way.
Cool.
So I don't know if this is like unique to ISFPs. I feel like in a lot of ways, for obvious reasons, it can be related to INFPs as well. But I feel like ISFPs a lot of times kind of bring this wondrous spirit to life that produces a lot of creativity, and a lot of times I think that it can also be coupled with like the childlikeness, I guess, from the SE, but then also I guess the wisdom, quote unquote, from the FI and I situation. And so I think that's something that we bring to the world, is just kind of that balance of, you know, childlikeness, but also maturity. And a lot of times that comes out in creative ways. And obviously we know that, I'm sorry, there's a hawk right in front of my window. And obviously we know that a lot of times that comes out through like, whether it be like music or art or even like sports and everything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we are so good at bringing ourselves, you know, just easy. It's like we can't not bring ourselves because of FI, but I think with, you know, bringing the beauty, bringing ourselves, bringing the emotions that come with FI, like it's just kind of raw and unfiltered in a sense. And you're either going to love it or hate it, I guess, depending on who's, you know, you're bringing it to. But I feel like we always just, like when Jamila talked about the wondrous and the childlike, and that I very much feel like, and it brings that like playful side of us too, like that really innocent, sweet, playful quality that we don't want to hurt anybody, you know, and we don't want to step on toes. And we're very aware of that because we're very aware of when we get stepped on. So I think we're always very aware and don't want to, you know, step on anyone. So we're just like, I don't know, we're just kind of, I don't know how to, I hate speaking for all of us. Like, it's like, but I guess, yeah, just that we look at the world like it's a fragile little egg and we don't want to crush it. And I don't know. I'm rambling now.
That's beautiful. Like, it's a fragile egg that you don't want to crush. There's like a careful or like delicate quality to how you guys approach life. And that's great. I'm also wondering, what are your Enneagram types for all of you?
I am a self-preservation 4.
Honestly, I have no idea what my Enneagram type is, because at once I thought that it was a 9. I was like pretty solid, like, yeah, I'm a 9 for sure. And then talking with other people who know more about Enneagram made me realize, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so sure about this Enneagram type. Like talking with Sheila and Frank James, and they also, them and a bunch of other people who once thought they knew their Enneagram type and they changed Enneagram type. So at this point, I would narrow it down maybe to like either one of like half of them, honestly, like 9 or 6, or probably not 4, maybe 4 though, or like 1, I would say would be the ones.
Cool. Yeah. They say 9s and 6s, they have trouble figuring out their type because they relate to so many types. Yeah. How about you, Sarah?
I'm a 3.
I thought I was a 9 for the longest time until I figured out that I'm not, that I believe I'm a 4-wing 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It shows in the way that you dress. It's incredibly individualistic. So I can see. Yeah. How about you, Kurt?
I believe I'm a 4 in the Enneagram. Sorry, so delayed. Yeah, I believe I'm a 4. I read a book. I read The Road Back to You, I think it was called. And 4 was like the only one that I related to at all.
Very cool. So a lot of 4s here, a 3 and a 9, possibly.
Sarah and Kurt, do y'all know what your wings are or your instincts or anything?
I'm a 3-wing 4 SXSP.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
I'm a SPSO wing 5.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm the self-preservation one, the SP. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of the happier 4, because that's why I didn't relate to 4 so much, because I'm kind of a happy person in general. I'm not like the brooding person, and all the descriptions of 4s, I was like, but I'm happy. And then when I found out that the self-preservation 4 is kind of the counter of the 4, the happy 4, I'm like, well, there we go. That explains so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true. Yeah. The countertypes always are like the different variation. Because it's hard to answer like the question, what do you bring to the world? Because you don't want to answer for all the ISFPs. Like, what do you guys think that you guys bring to the world as yourselves?
Well, I mean, what I hear from a lot of people, that's like the one major thing people compliment me for, is just like chill vibes, just like sereneness. Like people will be like, man, when you're around, just everything feels a bit more easy going, like just more chill. So I guess that's one thing I would bring to the world. I'd love to bring way more than that, but that's the feedback. So we'll just go for that for now.
Yeah, I was really feeling that when you guys were joining the chat. I'm like, why am I feeling like progressively more chill? Like, wow, so much chill energy.
Yeah, I think that the chill energy, I think that is very true. I hear that a lot. But I really think that, like, when I'm giving to the world from, like, the best in me, and when I see other ISFPs really give back to the world from the best within them, I think that what they provide is, like, a sense of relief. because if, you know, the way that we look at things and the way that we present things to the world is different, and a lot of times brings out the beauty in those things. And I think that chill energy is like the sense of like, oh, you can just like be calm, and like it doesn't have to be so chaotic all the time. And yeah, I think that that like bleeds into a lot of the things that ISFPs do.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
I get that I'm really chill and calm and relaxed a lot, because I have friends that are just a little more chaotic. You know, I always describe them like they're like the little black lab puppies, you know, just that high energy. And I'm really sensitive to the energy around me also. Like when I feel that chaotic energy, um, I notice it so easily. And I feel like I pick up on it, and I'll start feeling chaotic inside a little bit, but obviously the outside world doesn't pick up on that chaotic energy that I'm like feeling. They're still getting that vibe, that chill, like calmness from me. And even in chaotic situations, I'm always like, all right, it's fine. We'll work it out. You know, like I'm always like trying to spin the it's just all going to work out. It's going to be fine. Let's not panic. Like the voice of reason and the calm when other people are like, but it's on fire. And I'm like, the fire truck's coming, you know, like that type of, you know, it's just going to be fine. So I don't know. Yeah, I get chill.
Yeah. Yeah. They say like perceivers are good in times of chaos. So they're just good at like adapting and being able to handle like in the moment crises or what that demands of them. And so something really interesting that Sheila and Sarah share, maybe because they're threes in the Enneagram, like Sheila has a 3 wing and Sarah has a 3, or maybe it's a SETE thing. So they're actually very productive ISFPs, and they get a lot of stuff like done. And yeah, I remember Sheila, you telling me before that your TE is like surprisingly good in the sense that you can like manage like the salon that you used to work at, and like you're surprisingly good at your inferior, and like maybe it's the SE, like it's compounding the TE, and like you guys are more of the productive type. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Probably, yeah, that 3 wing, I am kind of the achiever, very like very hard on myself, very, I gotta, you know, I want to, you know, get this done or be at this certain level. So I think that 3 drives me, which when I first started learning about the Enneagram 2, the 3 was like really like, oh no, like there's no way I'm that, because it was like the part of me that I love, but yet I don't like, you know, like that competitive nature, that one-up nature, and like, oh, that is me. And so the learning the Enneagram is pretty raw. You feel naked and exposed, and you're just like, oh yeah. But I think it does help to get crap done with that 3.
Yeah, that's so cool. I guess that's why the both of you have like mentioned Taylor Swift when I asked you like before, like ISFPs that you guys both relate to. And I think it's because of like Taylor is also very productive. Like, and that's why her type is debated, but it's like, so I just wanted to show that like ISFPs have that side of them too, and that it is a thing. And so Sarah, what is your experience with like being a 3 and an ISFP?
Yeah, I think that being a like I didn't always like understand like what is the thing that motivated me, like but I've always been like a very driven person and very like career oriented, and I think I've really been able to take like my skill sets and then put them to like good use, and kind of like figure out how I can do what I love every day, and like kind of like really just like focus on my passions. And I think that like the 3 in me has really like driven that, because I always want to like whenever I'm creating videos, I'm like, okay, how can I get more views, and how can I like one up myself, and like what is everyone else doing, and like how can like that competitive nature that I think So to sometimes for people, like it feels like a burden. For me, I love that part because that's like what's fun for me. So I think that like because I have fun in that, it helps me get along. But like I know a lot of it, like other ISFPs that I've met along the way, they have the same passions, like they're into the same things, but they don't always like act on it. Like sometimes it's just a thing that they have like for themselves, or like it's just like a thing that they do alone. And I'm always like, how are you going to put that out there? Like you have to get that in front of an audience, like come on. But it's like I think it's really interesting how people do, like people kind of like treat it differently.
Yeah, and that's really fascinating. It shows how much like auxiliary growth like you have, like your SE is on point, because like SE is known as the action oriented function. So it seems like you've mastered that. So it's like kudos to you, props to you.
Thank you. Okay, yes, I'll take it. I'm sure he likes that.
Awesome. And so Jamila, what are your thoughts? What you bring to life, humanity?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much resonate with what everybody else said. A lot of people say that I'm like peaceful and chill and everything. And like Sheila was saying, like even in times of crisis, I'm pretty like chill. I remember one day at my old job, this old person had fallen outside. Like he was trying to get in his car and he fell off the curb. And I just let my manager know. I was like, hey, like somebody fell outside. Da, da, da. And so then here all they come rushing downstairs like, oh, and they're like running, trying to help him and everything. And then afterwards they're just like, wow, like you just were really calm about that. And I was just like, well, I don't know what else. To me, it's not very productive to freak out, especially when I see that it's very easily fixable. Like just pick them up and then it's fine. So yeah, I think that's what I bring. I know that a lot of people think that I'm funny too. And a lot of people have felt like they could come to me for advice and everything. So I think those are like the main things.
Wow, yeah, that's great. You are very funny. What I really like about you is like sometimes like because ISFPs are perceivers, that like I like to say like perceivers move at their own rhythm. So like when everyone's panicking, like they're able to keep their own rhythm, and that's really admirable that I find in you guys. And so Julien, it seems like you have something you want to say.
No, I just stopped muting my mic. I'm done with that. So
It's your rebellion. Yes.
yeah, I'm rebelling against the tribe. I'm not muting my mic anymore.
Cool.
I want to laugh. Like I want people to hear me laughing when Jamila tells a joke. So
He's preparing to laugh because he knows you're funny.
that was so funny. Like it's not that big of a deal. Just pick them up. So good.
That's true. I like the sass. 10 out of 10. So Kurt, what do you bring to existence?
So I feel I guess what I feel like I'm proud of bringing to the world is like my authenticity. I think as FI, we all relate to that like need to accurately express to the outer world what's going on inside of you. And I think sometimes that looks like unpopular opinions, and sometimes that looks like truth that doesn't fit in in like the FE social constructs of what's appropriate or not appropriate, because it's not constrained necessarily by like the extroverted judging functions. But I feel like for as many times as that might not be the most comfortable thing for everybody, I think it also creates a culture where people know that they can get honesty from you when they want it, or that when you're sharing an opinion, that it's, especially the more they get to know you and they know your heart behind it, they know that they can get an honest opinion from you. And I feel like, I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel like the world is kind of flooded with things that are fake a lot of the time. You know, and we all see that like in social media, like everyone's smiling, but then behind the scenes, that's not that way in their life. Things like that, I guess. And so I guess I like to think that I sort of, you know, bring that to the world, at least, you know, in my little sphere of people that would know me that in that way. And I was thinking like the laid back, chill aspect. I think probably all the IPs have that in to some degree, but I think particularly with ISFPs, there's like a because our dominant function is that deep introverted feeling. I think we spend a lot of time processing through our emotions, and a lot of that's done on our own. And so things that rattle other people emotionally, I often feel like wouldn't rattle me so much because of the depth of what we feel. I think even from a young age, and we learn to process like deep feelings from a young age. And so I think that kind of prepares us for different things, and like allows us to be sort of chill and laid back. And then I think also NI plays a role in that too, where you're able to kind of zoom out from the here and now of, you know, whatever chaos is happening, and say, okay, this is just a moment. It's not going to be this way forever. So I hope that made sense.
That did make sense. Yeah, you guys bring like your authenticity, so you don't bring like a fake version of you, which like you contribute to the raw honesty of the world. So like, yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Like whether it's like ISFPs being raw and honest in how they sing, like they're portraying their experience accurately, and it's like really nice to hear, or whether or not like they have an opinion that's against the popular norm, it's being true to themselves and their hearts at that moment. So their ISFPs are like good at following your heart, or like doing what feels right to you. And so it's something that everyone could learn a page from your book. So yeah, thanks guys.
I have a question. Like, so the following your heart thing, like,
Yeah,
say you're, you know, say you're just chilling in a group, and all of a sudden you get this random crazy thought that you just want to get up and do a little dance to be funny, to lighten the mood. Like, I find myself like all of a sudden I'll just get these like overwhelming, I just want to do this thing, and then I'll do it totally out of character, or not. I mean, it's part of my character, but especially like in a room of like, say, you know, moms that are like, you know, a little more subdued and a little more proper, I'll just get up and be really goofy and silly because I have that urge and I do it. And I don't know, do you guys do those kind of things? Like, just all of a sudden you just have this urge to do something, and then you do it because you want to be goofy or funny? I don't know.
Yeah, but not very often. I feel like I'm on the heavily reserved kind of side of things, and so it doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it's great. I love it. It's hilarious for me personally, and maybe some other people. But no, not to a high degree. Like, I am kind of tuned in to what social norms are, you know, valued or not in a way. So I'm not going to just like totally go out of the box if I feel like doing something, you know. Or even just like my own values. Like sometimes I get random chaotic feelings or thoughts that just like, I don't know, break a branch or something, you know. But I'm not going to do that because I value the tree more than my random chaotic thought of breaking this branch. So yeah, that's kind of the way I see it. But yeah, totally. Yeah, doing random things.
Yeah, I feel that way all the time. I think it does obviously kind of depend on who I'm around. Like if I'm just around people that I don't feel comfortable around at all, and I might get the random urge, it's just going to stay in my brain. Like I'm not about to make myself look like a complete fool. But I mean, definitely around people that I feel more comfortable with, or like, even if it is random and everything, it won't be like, oh, she's a freak, I'm never inviting her anywhere again. It'll still be like, oh, that was like cool or whatever. And I actually remember in high school, the time where we're just trying to find ourselves and everything, I would just do this weird thing where, like, in the cafeteria, I would just randomly scream. And to this day, I don't really know. It was just like kind of this, I just want to do something just to do it. And I think that was just me trying to figure out like my identity and all that type of stuff. So I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't do it often, and I do know what crowd I'm doing it in front of, whether I want to make myself look like a fool, and I'll take that, or not. But yeah, I just, these little urges will pop in, and it's like I'll just want to be goofy and silly, and I don't know if that's just the SE taking over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I also relate to the whole tree branch thing, or like, you see a crunchy leaf and you want to step on it. And so I step on it because it's a crunchy leaf and it makes a cool sound.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. Or like you step on a leaf and it's like it looks crunchy, but it's not crunchy, and you're just so disappointed.
So
you were supposed to be crunchy.
You had one job. Definitely, I get that.
I love that. So, how about Sarah and Kurt? When do your goofy buttons get unleashed?
Kurt, you go first.
Okay. So I do relate to when Sheila was asking about like that goofiness that kind of comes. I feel like it's a pretty natural state, but then also like what Jamila said, you have to feel like comfortable enough to go there with people. But one thought that I had was that I really enjoy making other people laugh or smile. And I wonder if that's sort of like a combination of FI and NI. So like when you enjoy, like if you're all about authenticity naturally, I feel like it's almost like a challenge and something that I enjoy if I can draw that out of other people. And so like I'll get this like desire to be, silly all the time. And I'm thinking about it just now that it's like I'm trying to get the other person to like crack a real smile or something, I don't know why, but I really enjoy that. I don't know if other people could relate to that as well. But it's like, I think we want to, I don't know, I think the different types and functions, we sort of like, how do I describe this? We've read different things and we sort of like create, we see our identity in different ways, but I think for FI, like your genuine emotions is a big part of identity. The way it like helps me to see other people or see like this genuine core of them when I get to see their real emotions. And so I think that's one of the reasons that I want to see other people like have genuine laugh or a genuine smile creep up on their face.
Yeah, drawing out their authentic self. That's really adorable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I definitely have a strong goofy side to me, but I'm also incredibly shy. So when I first meet people, I'm like very quiet and very reserved. But I find that when I'm with other ESFPs, that really brings out the like louder, goofier side of me. So throughout my life, like all of my really close friends have been very loud ESFPs, and it kind of like breaks me out of my shell. And I find that when I'm with ESFPs, I have a very easy time just like laughing and having fun and feeling goofy. But when I'm around almost any other type, I'm like, oh, is it okay? Like, how should I act? Is it okay to say these things? Like, I have to like feel the room first and then act accordingly. But I find with ESFPs, they just come into the room and they're like, hello, I'm here. We're going to have a fun time. And then I'm like, okay, cool. We can have fun. So that's really how I am.
That's great. Like they pull you out of your overly cautiousness and they make you like more light hearted.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
relate to that 100% too, for sure. It's like I don't really know, but it's just like almost like a switch that turns on
Mhm.
for me whenever we're in the same area, especially for like similar people. They're just more brave than I am. Then
Yeah.
it's kind of like it compliments me in that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
I think it's a really good like pairing in terms of
Mhm.
like friendships and stuff.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like having someone who's like a braver version of yourself gives you permission to be brave yourself. So
Mhm.
lovely words of wisdom, guys. And so before we started this entire panel, Sheila and Jamila were actually talking about how there's like a slight facial similarity between them two, like just like the way the nose is positioned and the cheeks of their
Oh
face.
yeah,
Yeah, I see
see
it
that
too.
for
And I'm
sure.
like, with some types, sometimes you'll see that there's a somewhat like visual correlation. To me, what it proves to me is that like there's something very innate to it that it can actually show up in that. But okay, my disclaimer is like, do not type off of that. It's just like it's fun to know after you know their type, but it's not good to determine someone's type. So yeah, but it's cool to know about. And so my question for you guys is, what doesn't come as naturally? What is like a little bit harder for you guys than the average person? Or what have you had to learn? Like what doesn't come immediately?
I think for me, productivity does not come easy for me. Like I have to make a conscious effort to like be productive and consistent. Otherwise, I can watch Netflix all day.
Mm.
I think for me it's just being organized in any way. So like I'm like my even with being productive, like I do things in a very messy way that could probably be done in a much more logical way. And like even though I have SC and I like things to be like very pleasing around me, I'm just very messy. So it's like I feel like I'm just a messy, unorganized person, and it requires like all of the energy in my body to like make things organized. So I just have never it's just I've never built up the skill for it. So I don't know if anyone else relates. But that's like the hardest thing that I find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I thought that I was like an ENFP or something, 'cause the hardest job I ever did, I was working with this guy as like a helper, and he wanted me to organize his garage like really precisely. Like he had SI, and I was organized. I'm like, I can't organize shit. Like this is the worst job I've ever had. But apparently, it wasn't that big of a struggle as it would have been for like an EP or something. Like I still did it. It was just horrible. But I think that like working with other people was one thing that's been really difficult for me to get to grips with, because it's kind of compromising your FI vision. Say if it's like a creative project, you want to do things your way, or you have some kind of vision, or you're attached to it personally, especially if it's your idea, and and putting that down a little bit and saying, okay, like I don't have to have so much control, or it doesn't have to be my vision. I can sacrifice some of my own desires for the desires of everybody, so that we can work together and that we can leverage each other's strengths. Has definitely been something to learn. And like Jamila said, the productivity thing was definitely something that I've been getting a lot better at recently, but it had taken many years before I ever started producing anything really. So those things I'd say.
I think I have the hardest time when people tell me what to do. I'm like, oh, it's just even so. Say I'm just chilling on the couch and I had like want to do this thing, and somebody comes and is like, hey, should we go do this? I think we should go do this thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go do like anytime anyone wants me to do something I don't want to do, I have the hardest time doing it. I just like, that's probably the my biggest struggle is like when I just want to do what I want to do and somebody wants me to do something else. I'm like, that's so hard.
That's probably also a 4 thing, right?
I don't know. Do you relate to that, Jamila?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think I get like the most stubborn with my husband for whatever reason. I just have to like, no, like you can't tell me what to do. I do what I want to do. But like, if I'm, in a group project or something, by all means, okay, you want me to do the PowerPoint? All right, I can do the PowerPoint. But so yeah, it kind of depends. Overall, I do like to just do whatever I want to do. Like that's for sure.
Yeah. I am the worst to my husband also. Like the outside tribe, I'm like, oh, I'll do that thing you want me to do. It's like, how come we always are so much easier going with the people outside our little tribe, and then the people inside get like the rawness of us that we're like, oh, it should totally be the other way around, shouldn't it?
No, it should, but here we are.
Feel that.
Yeah. So that's interesting to know. So it's interesting how like Julien mentioned creative projects and how like he likes to have control over his creative projects. And that tends to be like when someone says that, I notice that it tends to be like an FI user because they have maybe like a particular way that their FI wants to create that thing. And so to make sure that that gets carried out the way that their FI wants, sometimes there's a desire for like creative control over like how that gets executed. But that's just a correlation. And so, and it's an interesting trend to keep in mind. And it's cool how Sheila and Jamila with their husbands, they can be kind of like rebellious. What if it's like, yeah, I mean, it's always good. It keeps things fresh in relationships when you rebel. They never get tired because you're always keeping them on their toes.
Exactly.
God. I'm sick of being on my toes, damn it.
Do you not relate to that, Sarah? Because you asked if it was a 4 thing.
Oh, well, okay. So, I mean, I definitely relate to like being very stubborn in my relationship. And it's funny because Heidi's here and she's having a laugh. But I think, I just think in general, I think because I have like the 3 in me, I want to do like a good job when I'm like told to do something. I like want to like do it and do it well, but it's because I want the person to be like, yay, you did a good job, good for you.
Oh, that's crazy.
But that's like the only motivating. So I think that's why like when I heard you say like, oh, when someone tells me to do something I don't like it made me think of the 4 because the 4 kind of likes to go on their own path and do their own thing. But I think so. My suspicion is that like the stubbornness in relationships is maybe a common theme that is unrelated to Enneagram, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, FI has a certain type of stubbornness of its own.
Yeah,
it's cool how you mentioned like that you're productive, but it's like a messy type of productive.
Oh yeah. It's totally true.
that would be fun. Yeah, like SE, unlike SI, like SI is very particular with how it likes its sensory, but SE is kind of like, I'm just gonna like let the sensory can be messy as long as stuff gets done. It can be like a bomb field, like so that's a difference between SE and SI.
So would you say that people with SI are more organized?
Sometimes, yeah. But depends on their upbringing too. They'll be more predictable with how they go about the sensory task. So you'll see that they're doing it in a certain cycle or a certain order. So it'll have a certain rhyme to it. Whereas the SE user might do it like it'll be messy, but it'll be messy in different ways. It's just like it just happened to be that way. So it's not, there's less of a planned element with the sensory that SI would have.
Wow, Joyce, that was deep. I have never heard it explained like that.
Thank you. I try.
That side thing with cleanliness and stuff, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's all about that homeostasis. But I actually know some messy SI users, that's why. But they do it in this way that's very leveled. Like it's almost like so SI, another word for it could be stasis, the word stasis. So it's returning to a medium. So it's whatever that average is for the SI user, like they'll go back to it. But it depends on what they consider that average. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm scared of saying my opinion.
It's
Oh no! Please say it.
right, girl. You make perfect sense. It's
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Like ISFP SE is like free spirited SE. SI is like regimented sensory. So I don't know. So Kurt, what is your opinion on this whole shebang?
I guess when I compare myself to people with stronger E, I can tell that definitely doesn't come naturally to me. And I feel like if I don't talk about this, but if the passion or the desire to do something isn't there, then it's really difficult to motivate yourself, even if it like is logical or makes sense that you do this thing. Um, I find myself procrastinating a lot of the time. Um, and when I am able to take care of things, it's usually like because I know that I'm trying to avoid the negative outcome of not taking care of something. Um, yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a lot of other things.
No, I feel like there's like a common
I can give you an example. When I was in high school, I was actually pretty good at writing, like in English class, but it was difficult for me, and it was a long, slow process. And I don't know if that's like attributable to like being in your NI too much, but I think FI and NI, it's like sometimes just struggles with language. Um, and so it was so difficult and so much work for me this one marking period. We had a a report to write that was basically our whole grade, and I just didn't do it at all. I took a F for that marking period, and just averaged out with my other marking periods that year to get a B anyway, because it just wasn't worth the effort to me. I think that was like one of the earlier times in my life where I kind of realized like I have to manage like what I'm able to do and what the world expects of me and what's like reasonable to me. So sorry, I think I cut Jamila off there.
Oh no, it's okay. I just thought you couldn't think of anything, and I was gonna say that like what you have been saying is kind of still consistent with everything I feel like we all have, which is just we don't do what we don't want to do. So whether that's like in terms of production or like productivity or like organization, like if we just don't feel it, we just don't feel it, and we have to like make ourselves.
Yeah, it's true, right? If it doesn't fit into our FI worldview values, then we just have a really hard time doing it. That's actually a very succinct way of saying it, Jamila. I think I didn't think about that, but really emphasizes all that.
Yeah.
I just want to say that my phone's on 2%, and like I have it plugged in, but it's slowly dying this whole time. So if I just disappear, I'm sorry, but that's happening.
It's a
5 to 10 minutes.
fashionable exit. So yeah, Jamila, that's a good way of putting it. It's like if your FI isn't convicted, like you can't fake it. Like it has to be like your FI actually has to be into it for you to genuinely want to do something. And so that can manifest in very different ways, like in across different Enneagram types. So with ISFPs who are convicted about different things, they'll come off radically different. But the common thread is that they cannot force themselves to do something that their FI isn't, like their heart isn't into. So that seems to be the common thread. But it's a thread that can go in many different directions.
The cool way that I see about FI is that you can actually attribute your anything to FI. Like anything in the world, you can fit it into your FI. To me, FI very much so is like a joker card in which it's like, yes, you have to have FI value for something to feel energized to do it, but you can spin your worldview to encompass anything. It's just what kind of worldview you're using to view it, you know? It's like sacrificing your own values to help someone. If that fits into a higher value of yours, like self-growth or making the world a better place for other people, then you're kind of jumping over that smaller FI and feeding into the larger FI. And so you can have energy to do that, or you can feel comfortable doing that, I think. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That made perfect sense.
Very much agreed to that.
Yeah.
So I just heard today, actually, I don't know, I guess I was on YouTube or something, and I saw Will Smith talking to someone, and he was talking about how his mom was telling him that he'll never amount to anything without a college degree, but he wanted to pursue acting or something like that. And he was basically making the point that, like, you know, that was true for her, the advice she was giving, but it wasn't true for him. And I feel like I resonated with that a lot. Like, just the idea, I think it's very FI that it's like,
Yeah.
we need sort of the freedom to find what's right for us in life. And again, I think it's also tied in with having tertiary NI, because it's like you have an awareness of that different perspectives that people come to the world with. You know, like everyone's looking at the world through their own lenses, and so it's like I don't want to be limited by someone else's perspective, what someone else thinks is, you know, the right way to exist in the world, or the right way to show up to society or whatever. So yeah, I guess that just kind of goes along with it. I think it's like, I think we want the freedom to explore what's right for us in life, and that just seems sort of like should be a like an inherent, you know, right of all people.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It's like someone else doesn't get to write your story, and you know, like, you know yourselves well enough to not allow other people to give you a story, and you allow your own self to be the writer of your own narrative. And that's something that FI is really good at. It can write its own narrative for things, so it doesn't have to follow someone else's. So it's like, I know myself, I know what emotions make me feel alive, I know who I am, and so I don't need someone else to write who I should be. And so that's why FI is stubborn. FI is stubborn because it knows itself so well that you cannot get it to do something that is not in line with itself.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good that we have that NI to balance us out, though, so that we can see other perspectives. And, like, obviously, like, even having that introverted judging driver, then it's like, even though the essence of us is pretty much always the same, we're always like, or at least I think I can speak for everybody. When I say that, we're always like, you know, questioning and trying to like reconfigure, like, okay, what do I believe? Why do I believe it? Who am I? And then what do I believe? Why do I believe it? Who am I? And just always like trying to like see those gears and like shift them if need be. And like I said, especially with the NI, it's like, oh, like there's this worldview and this one and this one. But do I like how this matches up with me? I think I do, or I think I don't, or, you know, I like it for what it is, but it doesn't, you know, sit right with me or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always analyzing that also. And not that my values change often, but I'm constantly reevaluating my values up against new information. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some new information will come in. I'm like, oh, check myself. What do I feel on that? How do I, you know, and then it's just a constant analyzing, like just always with every little new nugget that comes in, you're like, okay, how do I feel about that? What's my stance on that? You know, and it's not even that you think about it that hard sometimes, but it's just like you just are aware that you're already analyzing it and ranking it and seeing where it is and fleshing it all out constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. FI is very much a self-filter. So it takes like everything your SE perceiving and it's filtering it through how you're jiving with it. So it's this automatic filter you apply on things so that you can know what your actual priorities are. So otherwise, like you're functions like TI and FI are there to filter all of this indiscriminate information coming in, so you can know where your stance is on it. And so FI users are very good at knowing like how it settles in their filter. And so for you all, do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask ISFPs?
I'm kind of curious if you all feel that you're able to read other people's motives. I thought perhaps that was like an FI thing in general, but I know some like INFPs that they don't really trust their ability to do that. So I'm just curious if anyone else here maybe feels that, like you're able to kind of read motives of other people.
Huh. Yeah, maybe. I think that to a degree, like, there's like I can sense when something's off, in a sense. Like, it's like I wouldn't be able to pick up on someone's exact motive. I definitely can't pick up on people's intentions, but there's like a sense when something's off, like when someone's doing something for themselves. Like, I'm very aware of when people are doing something just for themselves, and I call that out. Maybe because I'm so in tune with doing stuff for myself, I can see it more easily on other people. But so that's one thing that I could definitely pick up on motive wise.
That's interesting. So how do you differentiate motive from intention, Julien? So you said that you don't see intentions, but then you said that you're able to know if someone has like a selfish or bad motive in them. I suppose because you have at one point like felt a certain emotion inside you, so you can differentiate it in someone else. But isn't that like reading someone's intentions and motives? Or how do you define what does that mean to you?
I'm probably doing it all wrong in the definition of ways, but the way that I sort of differentiate motive from intention, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but to me it's like almost the difference between abstract and sensorily, in the way that to me motive is kind of like sorry, I'm gonna get this in my head again. Intention is more like the actuality of what they're intending to do, when the motivation to me is more like what their driving desire is behind what their action is, like kind of like what's pushing them to do that, rather than what is it actually what they want. Like, I don't know necessarily what they actually want, but I can sense more like what is the motivation behind this. Is it for themselves? And that's kind of what it funnels down to. Like, I don't know that. I can't pick up that much motive and intent, but I definitely can tell when someone's doing something solely for themselves, and that's always fun to pick up on. Like, wait a second, you're doing that just for yourself. Let's think about this.
Yeah. FI has a certain ability to infer the inner counsel of other people. So like FI is very in tune with its own inner counsel of emotions, and like it's a personality hacker term. And so it's able to discern like the emotions inside itself. And so it can pick up on when other people have a certain inner counsel that might not be as pure, or like it might have a dark intention towards it, like inside. Just as there's a parallel with TI too. So TI, it's like an inner counsel, but with degrees of belief and truth. So it's like how much can I believe this statement that's said? So like the TI will kind of like talk to its own thoughts, like it's a counsel, but it's in a logical way. It's like, okay, so what is the accuracy of what I'm listening to? What is the degree to which I can believe it, or the degree of truth that I see in it? And so it'll judge everything against like this barometer of truth, whereas like FI is judging things with its like ability to discern like the emotion, like
more like moral thing, like
moral
a
things.
type of thing.
Yeah, FI and discerning morals.
That's what I was going to say. Was I feel like I'm good at discerning, and I was going to use the word discern people's motives and intentions and on a moral compass. Like, right. I don't know how correct I am, but I definitely will always just quickly be like, oh, I bet you, like, I wonder if they're doing, and I'll sit and ponder their actions and intentions, and and try to figure out if I'm correct or not. And I'll watch it kind of just play out then, like their wording, or I'll just, it's like I'll sit back and watch a lot and take in all of that. I've already quickly made this like brash judgment in my mind. And I'm always hoping they prove me wrong, or, I was wrong, that, because I do try to look at the good in people 99% of the time, but that 1%, I'm always like, it's like just waiting for them to, I don't know. So I do really watch that whole thing play out in people that I don't know at all. I'm just like, where are you? Where are you on my moral, ranking platform that's inside me, and where can I put you on that moral shelf of mine? So I don't know.
Yeah. It makes total sense. Yeah, it's like, when you're congruent with your own authenticity, and you can tell when other people are congruent or incongruent with their own authenticity by nature. It's like, TI, it sees if things are congruent with the logical thoughts already inside its head. So it's like, and so it can see when you're not being like congruent with the logical thoughts, that it's like tracking, like both FI and TI are tracking congruency or like consistency, or like how much you're actually like with TI, it's more of the logical process is sound, like with its own process, but like FI is able to know the congruency of authenticity inside people. I'm not sure if that was too abstract or hard.
Nah, I get you.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you guys be able to spot other ISFPs? Like, what are clues and giveaways that you're meeting an ISFP?
I think for me, normally they're more quiet and they have a quiet energy. Sometimes it's in the way that they dress as well. I feel like sometimes I can tell, like, first of all, if people have NE or SE just based on how they dress. But yeah, I think how they dress sometimes is a giveaway. I think those are like the two like main things that I peep, kind of like their quiet energy and how they dress.
I mean, my whole typing thing has been thrown on its ass the past couple of years. Like, I used to just type people in a similar way, like, do they like nature, or do they like music? Like, what kind of things do they like to do? How talkative are they? How energetic are they? And things like that. But now I feel like scared to throw out type on someone so quickly. And so I think that, like, for one, I just don't feel very confident in general typing people rapidly, or even for long periods of time, with objective personality and all that. But I think that I would try to look for just like the values thing first off. Is it values in the sensory? Like, are they valuing things for themselves? Is it in the sensory? Is it part of their identity, kind of thing? Are they an IP? Like, are they concerned with their own interests and with building themselves up, like utmost, like first and foremost, or not? And I think that's what I would look for. If it's values in the sensory, if it's like an IP, are they trying to build themselves up? And is that FI? Is that like morals and ethics and that kind of compass based on values? And so, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, those are really interesting cues. Yeah. Well, my mom's an ESFP, and she was the one like who opened the door. And I think it's like a good example with okay, like a small tell, it doesn't hold true all the way, but extroverts, like with ESFPs, I noticed that they tend to talk more, but it's in the sense that like, so I told my mom from 6 to 8, I'm recording this panel. And so it's not 8 yet, but she can't help but forget that there's a rule that's no talking. So she'll talk to me throughout my panels. And I'm like, Mom, the hardest thing for me to tell you is to just like for a moment to to be less extroverted, but you can't. But you know, it doesn't apply for everyone, but I think that's, my mom is really high on the extroversion scale. Like every day she's inviting people over for BBQ, and it's Corona. There's Corona, like, so
Oh, wow.
like it's
Yeah.
like next level socialization. So the stereotypes don't hold true with everyone, but when they're like the extreme side of it, it's probably a sign that they are that. So yeah, ISFPs tend to be on the quieter side. They give off a thoughtful, serene type of energy. They have really good style, and I notice them by the way that they dress. And they're good at, like, when I visit places, like they know what certain clothing may appeal to them or something, like, or a certain item. Like, it's a certain ability to tune into your taste. So what are other tells that you guys see?
I'm usually fairly, like, my ears will perk up a lot when I hear the FI going, you know, like if somebody's just going on and on about they love this or they hate that, or, you know, they're throwing out a lot of those words, you know, and everybody can love and hate stuff, but it's like, sometimes, you know, you're just like that passion, like, oh, I love that, you know, or, you know, like you could just see that emotion built into it too. Like, and watching ISFPs too, a lot of times when they're referring to themselves, they'll tap their chest right here. They're like, you know, or if something's really sweet or emotional to them, they'll be like, oh, you know, like they'll do this a lot, or referring to themselves. Not always, but those are some of the SE tells, you know, like, or just those little emotions leaking out, but not overly leaking out. Like, you know, FE sometimes will just be like, ah, you know, where we'll just be like, oh, you know, like we like to leak it, but not too extrovertedly. So you could see, like, if you're paying attention, you'll see those little things, but we don't ever do anything in really grand, unless we're on stage or acting or stuff like that. You know, you can, you know, that'll come out more so, but in our just normal personal life, we're a little, just little leaks.
Yeah, little leaks. Yeah, that's like a great way to put it. Yeah, I notice FI leaks and like FPs a lot. In one of my episodes with Heidi, I think there was this moment where I tried to tell everyone to introduce themselves in a short way, and then Heidi did the FI thing where she was like, "Don't you guys just hate this?" Or like, "Is it just me that hates this?" And I'm like, that is a very FI thing to open up with. I'm like, yeah, it's this you'll see FI leaking, so it's really cool. I love how you guys are passionate like that. Yeah, about your company.
We'll leak our values out that we're thinking that we don't really leak them, but we're just throwing them out there a little all the time, like, oh, I love that, or oh, I'm not a fan of this, or it's like, and so people always kind of know where we stand without even us coming out and making a big stance. We just, like, we'll just leak them throughout the day, and if people are paying attention, then they should know. And I always feel like, you know, like I leak it enough. It's like, how do you not know how I feel about things, you know, when they come, you know, surprise. And so, yeah.
That's a really good sign, Sheila. So one of the things my FI Dom friends tell me is, like, they assume that other people know their emotions more than they actually do. So sometimes, like, FI thinks that its emotions are more obvious than it's coming across to the other person, and like that's a tell of FI too. Thank you so much, everyone, for making time to come and show your magnificent ISFP selves. You guys are tremendously stylish. Like, look at that painting behind Sarah. Like, that's beautiful. And also, you guys just look like art pieces. You guys live life like you guys are art. So you guys are like walking pieces of art. And so, like, the way you just go about life is art. And so in the metaphorical NI sense, you guys are artistic, just your essence. And so thank you for bringing that out here. Like, it spices up my life. It spices up anyone who crosses by you. You guys are shining beacons of authenticity, and your authenticity, it helps others learn the important lesson of authenticity. And so you guys really teach a very valuable lesson that society, if they internalized, it would make the whole world a better place. And so thank you for that. And also, you guys have a chill energy to you. When I'm around you guys, I feel like my mental health go up 10 times because you guys are so chill that it makes me calm down. Like, you know, people tell me I'm a type 6 because I'm a nervous energy person, but you guys are so chill that I feel like for an hour I have deconverted from a 6 to a chiller version of a 6. So
To a chiller. The Enneagram type
path of 6
chiller.
to 9. So I'm feeling like I'm going on that integration path. So yeah, like thank you for just the really nice energy you guys bring to the plate. It makes people feel chill too, and so it's an environment conducive to like giving authentic takes. So thank you. And I also really liked like the fictional characters you guys mentioned and the real life characters that you guys mentioned. It's really nice to know like who you guys jive with. Like I feel closer after hearing that. And you guys, ISFPs are just so like they're quiet, but they're goofy, but they're so like fun to be around because they, I don't know, they bring a certain oomph. So like thank you for bringing oomph to people's lives. Yeah, so I'm just tremendously grateful for your presences here.
Keep them
Thanks for
coming. Keep the
having
compliments
us.
coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Joyce.
Yeah,
for
it was
hosting
great
this
to have.
panel.
Yeah, you guys are super cool. And their links are down below if you guys want to check them out. They're lovely ISFP selves. Thank you, everyone, for watching this far. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye, all.
Lead me on, help me stay. I am tired. precious love.